Hello guys, I hope y'all are doing well. Today I wanted to make a very quick video to some people not being fully sure what to learn or maybe what they even are, the difference between SQL or NoSQL databases, and what I feel like it is worth doing or learning in 2025. So first, to give you the short answer, both SQL and NoSQL are great. Each has its own pros and cons, which I will break down in this video, but overall they are both very powerful, and that's why job postings often ask for SQL, NoSQL, or even both. So learning both is absolutely worth it. At the end of the day, they are just databases, so the learning curve isn't as drastic as you may think if you already know one. Let's say just SQL and you want to learn, for example, MongoDB. It is not as drastic as learning, learning web development than cyber security, which is a big difference. So it's just databases. But I wanted to make this video because I have a take and something that can help you be able to learn both correctly, in which for me, I feel like for personal apps, like personal projects, if you want something quick, both in performance and ease of setup, NoSQL is often the better choice. But that speed usually comes at the cost of structure and consistency. Or a strict consistency, because you can be consistent in NoSQL databases, but not that sort of strict consistency that SQL itself provides. So if you need a project that needs strong relationships, strict rules, and high reliability, SQL is the way to go. So both are excellent, and if you plan to work in backend development long term, learning both will definitely pay off. And when it comes to learning which one first, I think it's something that's personal, that it depends on what you think it's best. So some people will tell you SQL and some people will tell you NoSQL, because it is, like I said, the quickest options when it comes to ease of setup and also performance. But for me, I think I will highly recommend you learn SQL first and then NoSQL, because if we look at both terms, SQL and NoSQL, then NoSQL is basically a lot of technologies that are not SQL. So the bigger fish we can say is SQL, because if there is a term that groups all of these technologies that are non-SQL, then that means that just SQL is that big. Even though, as I told you before, you can see both things being asked in a lot of job postings. I've seen a lot of for MongoDB, and same for SQL itself, or for any other NoSQL technologies. They are still very present and they are still very demanded. But for me, if you want to sort of learn the biggest fish, they're also, I think, a little bit more complex, because relationships are a thing, and primary keys and things like that could be a little bit complex, unlike MongoDB, which are just documents, and I think it's a little bit easier to understand if you see a video or tutorial. Then I think SQL is the best sort of entry point, so that you can have the best sort of fundamentals and the most known technology for databases this far. So yeah, when it comes to learning, I'll highly recommend SQL at first, but I think also if you personally think that NoSQL is better, then it's your opinion, and they are both very valid. So yeah, in that case, you will have to make your decision. And to go through some NoSQL and SQL pros and cons, let's first start with NoSQL. And NoSQL stands for not only SQL, I told you before, meaning these databases can vary significantly from one another. Unlike SQL, which uses tables, NoSQL databases can store data as documents, key value pairs, graphs, and more. This flexibility allows for horizontal scaling, making NoSQL databases faster and better suited for real-time applications or apps that need to transfer, read, or write data quickly. For learning NoSQL, I recommend focusing on the databases most commonly mentioned in job postings for roles you're interested in. Most importantly, if you're completely new to databases, make sure to find a resource or a course that teaches the foundations of databases in general. It isn't much, but it is very important if you want to then transition to SQL or other non-SQL databases. Apps I recommend building with NoSQL, and also a lot of people recommend and even build things like this with NoSQL databases are things like real-time chat applications, social media feeds, CMS platforms, and recommendation engines like the one that has Netflix or Spotify. And fun fact, after writing the script, I looked up what Spotify was using, and Spotify actually uses Apache Cassandra, which is a NoSQL database. So yeah, it gets to show you that NoSQL databases are also very powerful and used in these very big applications. And at the end, let's talk about SQL pros and cons. If you need very structured data, strict rules, strong relationships, and long-term stability, I feel like SQL, or this is where SQL comes, and SQL is the better choice. While it may be slower than NoSQL in some cases, it's generally much more secure and reliable, which also allows for vertical scaling. And say you can also make, and there are a lot of features about NoSQL databases that you can make secure and reliable, but if you want just reliable right off the bat and secure, then SQL is the way to go. And since SQL is a single technology, unlike NoSQL, which has many variations, you don't have to spend time choosing between different database types, so it's only SQL. For learning SQL, I recommend finding a course from a teacher you have already learned from. This is something you can easily look up in platforms like Udemy. And yeah, you can basically learn from somebody whose teaching style works already for you. Learning itself depends a lot on how well information is delivered. So picking an instructor you already understand can make the process easier. If not, if you don't have any sort of professor or somebody that does courses and that you have learned from before, then any high-rated course or program will work. But please remember to always look to build and apply your knowledge. That's the way knowledge sticks. Please, the same for SQL and NoSQL. If you finish a course, a program, or something related to that, apply the knowledge. Like at the moment, for example, I just learned NoSQL, so I'm currently working on a project that I consider sort of medium scale, and I really like it a lot because it challenged me to actually apply the knowledge that I learned and that I paid for with money and time. So please apply the knowledge. That's the way knowledge exists or sticks. And apps I recommend for building with SQL are usually the more sensitive things like banking and financial systems, e-commerce platforms, healthcare or patient records, and any apps that require high consistency, very structured information, and strong relationships. So yeah, that was it for the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please let me know what are your thoughts in the description. Not in the description, in the comment section. I always say the description, but I'm the one who writes the description, so doesn't make much sense to say that. But yeah, please let me know if you think maybe SQL is the best one, or maybe if you think NoSQL is just will never be better than SQL. Please let me know your thoughts. This is a space for discussion. There's never any sort of you have to do this, or you have to, if you don't do this then this will happen to you, or anything like that. It's just always an open discussion, and we're all here to learn and to give your opinions. And yeah, thank you guys for watching again, and I'll see y'all in the next time. Bye.